Hello again and welcome back to my channel. So here we are again. Now, let me just quickly show you the weather. Hopefully I don't lose you all. Check out that rain. So this is late May in Hong Kong from my office being working from home. And if you've never been to, why would you? Or seen Hong Kong, this is a view from the 9th floor of an apartment in Hong Kong. And let me switch. So that was a bit of my life. I'm working from home today, as I do once a week. And I guess in terms of my progress, I always feel I go 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, actually. Yeah, not 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. So, but that's actually good because I need to feel what I like to call the burn, which is a bit of discomfort. It's almost like a Buddhist teaching where life is suffering and you need to feel a bit of suffering in order to advance in life. And you know what? The last week of meetings and lack of sleep or just lack of focus, that's part and parcel of it. So I'm kind of embracing that burn, and that's good. But I also wanted to talk about this need. I've had all these goals, these focuses, and one thing I know I need to do is to carve out time, to have that discipline, to carve out time. I mentioned last time around about the concept of SLAM: simplify, leverage, accelerate, multiply. If you want to know more about that, look at a previous video which I talk about in terms of productivity. But something that is very, very important is to make that time for yourself, some bit of discipline in life, because it's all well and good me having all these goals, which I kind of forget sometimes. But if I don't have any framework to, firstly, remember them, secondly, to act upon them, then it's just more noise. And I keep a list of to-do things, to-do lists. But I think I've got about 2 or 3 different types of to-do lists. So I need to simplify as per the SLAM process and try to be a bit more focused on things. I'm just looking at some notes here, and I'm kind of reminded by, I'm a big football fan, soccer fan, for those who follow the sport. And I kind of noticed how a lot of success is in there. Yes, a lot of it is down to money. You spend a lot of money, you get the best players, etc., pay the best wages, etc. But sometimes you can get the best players and you get underperformance. And I'm talking about you, Man United, who are now out in Asia on their tour. They've just played and lost in Malaysia, as you do, and are coming to Hong Kong this week. You can see the weather's ready for them. And you just wonder how a team with so many good players over the years, not so much now, not this current crop of jokers, but in the past 5-10 years, what has gone wrong? And a lot of it, I think, is a combination of the mindset and the culture. It kind of combines, whereby a lot of players, I think, arrive at Man United and think, yes, I've made it. I am the big man. And they kind of put themselves on a pedestal with the name Man United, despite the fact that those who made that name Man United, in terms of made it the global brand that it is, they had to slog, they had to work hard for the brand. They had to suffer, if you will, to build the club as it is. I'm not going to necessarily name any specific footballer, but you know who you are in the last X amount of years, who are just basically more prima donnas, only turn up for the really big matches, the ones that count, don't really want to play in this kind of weather, so underperform too often, or believe in their own press when actually they need to just put in some extra work, or the whole club is just too big for them. The whole enterprise is just too big for them. And I think this is something you can think about in life. You know, I'm not going to slight Gen Z, but I have seen some comments recently talking about some research, talking about how a lot of employers who are Gen X, like myself, who wouldn't employ Gen Z because they see them as lazy. Now, I think that's a bit harsh. I don't think that's actually fair. But I think the issue is some Gen Z, not all Gen Z, but some Gen Z haven't felt the burn, haven't needed to suffer, if you will, suffer to get where they are. Now, for me, I mean, I often say I've been lucky in life. I mean, I have been lucky in life. I'm not going to deny it. I've been lucky to get to where I am in life. Living in Hong Kong for a number of years, working in finance in here and in the US for a little bit, have built a life, but it didn't come given to me on a plate. I had to work hard for it. You know, without me thinking about it, it was just natural. You know, I lived on a council estate or project or whatever you would call it these days. One parent family, no money, didn't have a car, didn't have a telephone for a lot of the time, but I worked hard. Managed to get into a good school, admittedly. That was a benefit, and that dragged me along. And so I kind of feel that I've worked to get here. Maybe I could be working harder now. That's what I sometimes tell myself. I almost beat myself up about it. I should be working harder now. But there is a cohort of Gen Z, and I'm not saying all Gen Z, but there is definitely a cohort who expect more, who wants more out of life without necessarily rolling up the sleeves. So yeah, I mean, I'm finding myself waffling now. So yeah, I feel we all need to at least test ourselves. And again, this is almost code for talking about comfort zones, where we don't test our limits. If you know your limits, if you can test your limits, then you can know your limits. Otherwise, you can find yourself not pushing yourself and expecting the world to give it to you on a plate. Okay, that's me talking around and about to say a lot of the Man Utd players aren't testing their limits. They haven't tested their limits for a number of years, and as such, the club is struggling. This is one of my more random rants about life and the need to feel the burn. So I think it's important to feel, to understand that 2 steps forward, 1 step back, as I started this video with, is actually good. In fact, 1 step forward and 2 steps back at times can also be good. It keeps you hopefully humble, it keeps you hopefully pushing forward, and it makes sure that you aren't living within your comfort zone, or tries to force you out of your comfort zone. Okay, I am definitely rambling a bit too much now, so I will sign off here, but I will show you the weather again in not so sunny Hong Kong. And yep, it's raining. Yeah. Okay, not quite like the sunshiny one I had a few weeks ago. In fact, last week I think it was. Right, okay, I think I've done my time, and over and